I was gonna stop by, but then I got wrapped up, so I'm gonna count him out his house.
Yeah, so did you get my message about what happened with the?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I won't share
That's why
that.
we,
Yeah, I just wondered. Oh, are we supposed to do? Is
it's
everybody
your
supposed
choice. I
to?
sent out a message, everybody in this building.
It's your choice? So you choose to do that?
Yeah.
How come?
Because I don't want to stay home for a week.
Aren't you a Republican?
I am a true Republican. And I'm so happy with Virginia, I can't stand it.
I know it.
I watched that thing last night, come,
Oh, I was jumping up and down too.
and Cram,
Go Glenn.
Cram won mayor,
It's pretty
you
awesome.
know, I don't know, what's his first name?
You ready?
Jared.
Okay,
Jared, I
we're
know
done. We're
Jack, I
live,
thought it-
people. This meeting is going to start. Welcome, everyone. This is the regular board meeting for the Tioga County Industrial Development Agency. It is Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021 at 4:34 PM. This meeting is hereby called to order. Christine, could you do a roll call, please?
Jen Checkarelli?
Yes?
Kevin Gillette?
Yes.
Brent Stavrik?
Yes,
John Moore?
Yes.
Eric Knowles?
Yes.
Aaron Gal?
Yes.
This evening, we have no privilege of the floor. We have no guests for a change. That's unusual, right? I would ask, I'm seeking a motion to approve the October meeting minutes, please.
so moved.
Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next, we will go into the financials. I know that there were some changes that took place just today, correct, Christine? What was that?
Yes, so after speaking with Aaron and John, we differentiated between the accounts receivable for the Suez refund and the ESD water tank grant. Just split those into two separate sub-grant accounts.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I've added the accounts receivable report and we'll be sharing that with the board each month going forward, just to remind you of what is included there.
All right, thank you. Aaron, are you good with that? And John?
Yes, yes,
Seeking a motion, please, to acknowledge the financials.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, John. Can I have a second?
second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, we have Mrs. Tinney for her ED&P update.
So, just as an FYI, Megan and Christine put together an update on our top 10 employers and assessed values for the county. But we update this periodically. So I just wanted to share that with you. Can't see it right now. Oh, there we go.
That was a very interesting document. I liked looking at that. Thank you for sharing it.
That's just an FYI. Next, office relocation. So there is a movement right now within the county for the possibility, it's nothing that's been determined yet, but the possibility of relocating the ED&P office and shuffling some other offices around, that we would be relocating to the vacated CCE space. And in doing so, we would be able to actually pull Christine in under our roof, if you will, and she'd be all right in with us. This has not been approved by the county. It's just being proposed at this point. I think it goes to committee tomorrow.
Where is that space?
It was here,
That corner
in the
over here.
corner.
Oh, the same
hallway.
building?
Yeah.
First floor,
Larger.
first floor, other side of the building.
Andy Fagan used to be back there. Yeah, okay.
I'm not
Potential.
Frisk me and throw me out.
Ellen Pratt is going also.
And Ellen, yes. So that, I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's being discussed at least right now, and we're pretty excited about it. Workforce coordinator. So the
Eric made it
initial,
through.
Say it again?
Little birdie told me it made it through committee.
No, it has not made it through committee. So there's a resolution again put forth to the county to make this position a county position, full-time county position. That's what's being considered by the county legislature right now. So it came out of Economic Development and Planning Committee as recommended to move it forward. It now tomorrow will go to the Personnel Committee, and if it makes it out of that committee, it will go to the full board. I am going to be presenting to the full legislature tomorrow at their work session the reasoning behind why we're looking to have this be a county position. So if you recall, initially we were intending to do this as an contract employee of the IDA, but we've pretty quickly discovered that offering a full-time position with no benefits, we were having a hard time getting interested parties without the benefits. So we're trying to find a way that we could put it together that would hopefully we'll find somebody who will be interested in taking that position on. So waiting to hear how that goes with the county Thursday,
Is that a
And then-
noon meeting or an evening meeting tomorrow?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
So just a heads up, depending on what happens there, we may be coming back and having further discussions with the IDA. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Superintendents are very excited about that. That's good. We were talking about it today.
Just an update on the spec industrial space out at Lounsbury. We thought we were going to have a proposal by the developer for tonight's meeting, but they're having a hard time and getting all of their quotes and everything together to be able to put a proposal together for us. So I talked with them yesterday and they thought that they would have something for us for the December meeting to consider. So kind of waiting on that still. That's all I have on my update. I have some comments on some of the other things going forward, but that's it for my update.
Thanks, Leanne.
Okay, so Leanne has put together a team to help plan another Teen Tioga breakfast. We're looking at the end of January 2022.
Can everybody hear Christine?
No,
Christine, we missed some. The
I can hear.
Project updates.
project, oh, okay, thank you. Project updates. The Owego Gardens 2 spreadsheet just includes the latest disbursement to statewide Aqua Store. That's the only disbursement we've made since last month, showing the 19,000 right here that we just dispersed. And all other payments will be dispersed thereafter. Forgive me, those of you virtually, let me share this so you can see it. There we go. So we dispersed 19,000 roughly to a statewide Aqua Store. Robinson and Aqua stores still have some work to complete. Have some photos of Owego Gardens to share with you. Eric, can you see this?
Yeah,
Wow.
Awesome. So those are all townhomes. That's the 3-story apartment building going up. It's another close-up view of one of the townhomes and the water tank.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Wow.
Oh, God.
We should bow and kiss its feet.
expensive.
doesn't look like $600,000 or 1,000.
Really shiny though.
Probably 6 million by the time they drug it up the hill.
So these pictures were just taken today, and that's where the project stands. We are holding a meeting Friday to ensure that the IDA properties soil coverage is done correctly. Leanne's been leading that initiative. Thank you, Leanne.
at that road. That's a paved road.
Owego Gardens too is working with NICEAG to get that going. We are all staked out. Still working on the new developer agreements with Suez. Hopefully they are prepared soon.
This was beautiful. Thanks so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Because we can't trudge up there and see it or drive up the road. So
No.
it was really nice to see. Thank you.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I was impressed. I've never seen it. I walked in when that was started, you know what I mean? So I'd never even seen the plans for it.
Yeah, it's nice. All right, Christine, what else you have?
So regarding Sunny's Valley Solar Project, you all have a memo in front of you. This is the memo that was shared with the town, county, and school entities at a meeting we held to basically just include everybody and make sure they're agreeable to the IDA administering the pilot. We found out that the town board is actually negotiating the decommissioning fund amount, so that will be the responsibility of this board. They agree that they believe the listed 108,000 is not enough, so they're going to try to negotiate to bring that up to a more reasonable amount.
Do we know what that amount sort of kind of is?
Sorry.
Do we know what that amount sort of kind of is?
The decommissioning plan that the company provided says to tear everything down is roughly 1.4 million, but they're saying a scrap value is roughly 1.3.
Right,
Therefore,
but
they
I'm
only
saying
need
the
to-
bond amount, what are we shooting at on the bond amount? Do we
They've
know?
offered the 108,862, but the town's going to negotiate in the next few months.
Okay, so help me understand. The town is negotiating the bond and the recommissioning, whatever. But we're gonna hold the pilot?
Yeah.
Is that, okay?
Well, ultimately, it's the town is gonna have to deal with whatever's left up there.
Okay, well, I didn't, this is, the whole thing is unusual and I didn't know, so.
There's no problem with splitting up those two functions,
Okay,
if you will, in this transaction.
so
It
the
hardly
bond,
makes sense, but there's no problem with it.
Well, the one that we had recently in Broome, the windmill, which is a whole different
Mm.
kettle of fish, if you will. The town negotiated the decommissioning expenses. We required it as part of our transaction. We required that they negotiate that with the town.
well then, where does that agreement live?
It's an agreement between the town and the company, and what they do is they're required to post a bond.
So that's separate from the pilot?
Yes,
Okay,
but
If you're gonna hold the pilot here, wouldn't you just get a copy
Well-
of the renewed bond thrown in the file, maybe?
well, we have a copy in the file, but we would require them to negotiate
with the
a
town.
decommissioning agreement, including a bond with the town. It
Okay.
would be up to the town to figure out what the amount is.
Because they need to do all that before they can break ground, don't they?
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
So the town hasn't set a date when they're doing that yet.
They said within the next few months. So we shared that the majority of the board members felt it was grossly understated and that was a big concern of the board. They said they agreed that those negotiations will be taking place.
Okay,
Have at it.
So what's happening right now is we're trying to get input from the three taxing entities, town, county, and school on two things related specifically to the pilot. One is how you would like to see the payment on the pilot structured. The initial agreement that Sunny's brought forth when we were first talking with them through the IDA was that it be $6,000 per megawatt with a 2% escalation over 18 years. Christine has summarized some other possibilities. Did you want to look for more than 6,000 per megawatt. There's a possibility. Did you want to base it on a percentage of the assessed value? So she's put together several scenarios. So the first thing we're looking for input is regarding how that payment should be structured. The second is how that, once the payment's received, how that should be dispersed. We're looking for input on whether the disbursement would be as with a typical pilot based on prorated tax rates, or if it would be equal 1/3 payments, or third to town, county, and school. So we're reaching out.
We're required to base it on the ratios, the
Oh.
current tax ratio, unless the three jurisdictions agree otherwise.
Okay, so
The
we're,
default position is,
it'll be, okay. Alright, so we'll get to an agreement there somewhere. But that's what we're asking of town, county, and school to consider how they would like to see that. Obviously, the one who's gonna balk at that is gonna be the school, because the county would get more, the town would get more. We go a third. The school obviously would get less.
Right.
So it's out there. We've asked for input on it. I'll be presenting to the legislature tomorrow on this as well, to get their position on it.
These things are convoluted at best, with the tax laws and whatnot. It seems crazy to get too far outside the current tax ratio that Joe just mentioned. It seems to me a little crazy to push those boundaries.
So the reason that came up is all the other solar projects in the county have pilot agreements with the towns individually, and those have all been split 3 ways. So of course, the town was hoping to have the same situation this time.
So the school districts have been agreeable to that.
They haven't,
The school didn't seem opposed to that proposal. But we haven't heard
Well,
the.
might say I just
from
make
the full
boards.
board.
It just seems like we're pushing, nothing but change in all this stuff to me. There's nothing consistent whatsoever.
Right.
So,
Which kind of leads to the question that I can't remember the assessed value or the estimate for assessed value that would be based on these numbers. If you did the 50, 75, or 95%, that was based on,
5.9 million
and that was an estimate from,
real property.
that's kind of the problem with this. It would be much, but I understand there's some proposals floating around for the state to take this over, to assess these, because
which is.
and especially your smaller towns and whatever are really in the dark. And,
Well, and the
it's
issue
assessed
is
separate
it-
from the land.
If they do that, and we do all these calculations based on that estimate, isn't there a good chance they come back then and reassess a different number if they standardize?
Absolutely, and they're going to reassess it annually now, going forward every year. So 2022 is the first year of statewide assessment procedure. And then they have to redo it every year based on basically the cash flow of the company.
Well, that's just. So they're gonna be doing it on actual numbers or projected numbers from the companies?
From their discounted cash flows.
Yeah, those numbers need to be fed by either projections or actuals.
Right.
I mean, they're obviously gonna be projected into the future, but. Seems like an odd,
and it seems like it's going to have. It's going to be
well,
all
you're gonna have
place.
ebbs and flows, but I
Yep.
mean, I guess what's the control mechanism to keep these people honest too?
Well, if you select the option that's a percentage
Yeah,
of whatever that
Yeah.
is,
yeah,
you're there. But it's when you go with a fixed, the say the $6,000
Per megawatt.
per megawatt, that could be reflective of what the assessment is, or it could be totally out of whack.
right. Yeah, power generation is certainly not my forte at all.
Yeah.
We need to decide on this by when?
Oh, we don't.
This
We'll come back with input from the town, county, and school for this board to consider, and then from
I
there
have no idea.
Oh, my
take
God.
something forward to Sunny's and say, this is what we're proposing. So you've got nothing to do yet.
Okay.
I just have a feeling tomorrow it's gonna be. Nobody has a clue at the legislative. meeting. Have to look at it, think about
Well, we've thought about it for a long time.
What was, any of these are different scenarios that are on this page too.
it. Mhm.
Are any of these reflective of other agreements in place other than this 6,000 that was presented to us?
We looked at
Just
some of
different
that.
scenarios that we looked at and said, hey,
Neither the town of Owego attorney or the county attorney are aware of any situation in which option 3 through 5 have been done before. It's asking, it's giving a lot less exemption than is typical on these projects. And I created these 5 scenarios basically just to show the level of option that we do have here, because we can go up to 100% full taxation. So I just wanted all parties involved to see the numbers associated with various options if we were to go percentages or.
Elaine gave us some of that last meeting. There was no consistency.
Right.
There was no.
well, I mean, there's a big difference between
Oh, yeah.
6,000 and 10,000
Oh, yeah.
and everything in between, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it's,
Exactly, once I.
you know, Eric, if we had to vote tonight, he'd like to be at pilot option number 5. You know what I'm saying? I just don't, I don't know, even after our last meeting, I'm not sure, say without some consistency here, what to think, but.
So
School
that brings-
districts struggle every time you put a pilot in because that pilot's a direct drawdown on our tax rate. So that's why Corey gets nervous about that when those pilots go in, because they deduct that from your taxable revenue. And it impacts your tax cap number, which I can't tell you. Joe probably, anybody who's tried to explain this tap cap ratio number that comes out of this super secret office in Albany, but it's a nightmare. It's what gets you to your 2%, if you will.
It's when the projects come off the pilot that creates the problem.
When they go on too, yes, when they go on. When they go on and when they come off, both of them bounce you. They don't help you when they go on either. School districts have been fighting pilots for years. We just want it out of our calculation. We don't want to fight pilots. We don't want them in our calculation, our tax cap calculation.
Sure. Because the state.
Is there, guys, is there any way we can get information on the other solar sites around the county on what they're producing?
Yes, so we have actually put together a database of those solar projects that we're aware of. So we have that data already, Aaron. And to speak to what Kevin is suggesting, we are also looking at putting out an RFP to take a look at renewable energy and what best practices and typical practices around the region are, so that we can address exactly what you're saying, Kevin. You know, that seems to be all over the place. What we hope is to be able to produce a document for not only the IDA, but the towns in school and everybody to use, that would pretty much standardize how we're going to approach a renewable energy project, so we don't have these types of conversations. So we recognize that as a problem, and so we're working on getting something to put together to help us through that process.
It just seems like, you know, every municipality is going through this at some level.
Yeah.
Like you said, Joe, you ink these things in for 15, 18 years.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Aaron, we'll
You
get-
got
I'll get that
you got
data
a
to you.
small, you know, town board that's looking at something, and all you gotta do is have a couple of miscues, and pretty soon you got 15 years of what just happened here.
Because your question, Aaron, was the actual power being generated, right? So
Yeah.
that's actually,
Yeah,
publicly.
Yeah, I would like to know, how much are these guys producing,
Mhm.
based on the size of their unit?
So you're saying not necessarily what they intended to produce, but what are they actually
Yeah.
producing?
Yeah,
I don't know that we have that.
Well, but we can figure it out.
well, NICEAG might be able to tell us that.
Mhm.
You gotta be dumping in someplace.
Yep. We'll see what we can find.
Well, that all goes back to again, what's being generated, and where's it going is a whole nother question, because, it would be nice to know, again, what's the true local benefit?
Right. Okay.
Any further discussion? So update on the last power study. We had a meeting with Crown Cork and Seal to, can you all see the agenda, Aaron?
What's
I can
that?
see, I can see the agenda, yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you. Okay, for the Lansbury Power Study, we had a conversation with Larson Design Group and Crown Cork and Seal to go over their power issues and see if we can't coordinate a mutual benefit in the end, with a NICEAG utility infrastructure upgrade out in Lansbury. Still in progress, no final report yet. Moving on to Team Tioga Breakfast. Looking at the end of January 2022 to hold an event like we did 2 years ago. There's a planning committee compiled. It includes multiple EDMP employees as well as myself, and Sabrina Enriquez, the new chamber CEO. Leanne is approaching all the same sponsors that provided funding last time, but tentatively is, we would like to request IDA to contribute $5,000 towards the event. 2 years ago, $5,000 was approved by IDA and ultimately was not needed due to the level of sponsors contributing, but we're looking to temporarily fill that gap in the budget, hopefully not end up needing it. Just kind of seeking your thoughts on that, that would be.
Well, we certainly did it, 2 years ago, and we said we would contribute the money up front, and then Leanne got all the sponsorship. So I think we should reconsider again, because she's going to be, following that same path. So I would actually seek a motion now to make a commitment to contribute the 5,000 to the breakfast and see what Leanne can come up with for sponsors.
so moved. I just
Thank
want to hear
you.
Aaron second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, folks.
I was being quiet, Eric.
I think this is when I first started. Aaron says, "You want to spend how much for breakfast?"
But you didn't have to last time, see? It worked out really well. Thanks, everyone.
All right, moving on to administrative fees. We recently assisted in facilitating Tioga Downs with a refinance. Joe advised we should consider implementing a policy in which when we assist our pilot companies in a refinance or a sale, and Joe's providing us his services to complete our portion of the paperwork, that we would automatically charge these companies $1,500 each time that we do such a thing.
We do that in Broome, and we never have it. I mean, these are ordinarily quite large transactions. And, $1,500 administrative fees, nothing on top of that.
That covers that.
And no, are you kidding? I'm The
sorry, it just
agency,
came out.
the agency gets 1,500, and then I bill them separate, and so I get paid too, which I know you're concerned about.
That's why I brought it up.
We
But
figured
At least gotta get to
and
1,500.
again, there's no reason why we should be undertaking resolutions, doing all this, and, these are usually sizable. It's like if Crown Court and Seal was gonna refinance, those are
Right.
sizable transactions, and we should have an administrative fee
Mhm.
for that, or when someone is assuming a pilot,
Mhm.
somebody's buying out
Sure.
Crown Court and Seal or FedEx. We went through that with FedEx, and, there's time, there's effort.
Right.
I've never had any objection to it.
That's what Broom charges.
Yeah,
Christine, what would we have to do to update our procedures or to incorporate this? I think we would have to update something.
we just
Joe
put
and
it,
I can
I'll come up with some language. We'll just stick it in the policy that,
That'd be great. So this is just a heads up and we're gonna move forward
yeah.
another day.
We don't need to vote on this?
You don't want to
Not-
create a motion right
Not
now?
just yet. Or
Yeah.
would you like
Yeah, you
to?
can vote on it now.
Okay, I'll take a motion to move forward with this and then Joe's going to come up with some
It'd be
language.
a resolution to authorize charging an administrative fee of $1,500 in the event that the agency is required to assist and participate in a refinance or an assumption and transfer of a project.
Got
So
that, Megan?
moved.
Thank you. Can I have a, who has a second?
Yeah.
Eric, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No
Nope.
no one's opposed to it, Joe. That's a good
I
thing.
don't know how
Yeah.
paper that is.
thank you all.
Keep
So
it for my mouth.
Finance Committee just reporting that the industrial park account has been closed.
Oh, just look at
Officially,
this.
we emptied that account to support the new corporate drive sign, and we've closed that account. Sales tax exemptions have been reported monthly by Legal Gardens 2, aka Home Leasing, Robinson, and Aqua Store as the contractors. So they're submitting monthly reports and are within their authorized limits. All the pilot payments for the year have been dispersed. Moving on to grants, we have submitted the final reporting related to the Monkey Run project, which is complete. And we actually just submitted the Richford Railroad FEMA grant today for engineering, preliminary engineering services to come up with a fix for that flooding location. That's all we have for the regular session today.
We do have some items for executive session. I'm seeking a motion to move into executive session, please.
Motion.
Thank you. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let us know when we're off line, Christine. Where's that Rizzuto sign? Rizzuto. I printed that appraisal. It was like, it wouldn't stop.
I
I
know.
had no ink
Right.
left. It's like, why didn't I look how big this document was?
Usually
It's all just,